Same or Different was finished in 2004, but it was not premiered until 2006 when I was invited to do a new radio piece for the meeting of the Ars Acustica, the Association of International Radio Producers, which was having a meeting in Stockholm. I'd done quite a few radio pieces especially for René Farabee at the French radio, and I was rather known for my radio pieces, and most of the radio producers knew who I was, so I got the invitation. Marie Wennersten of the Swedish radio produced the event, and Mats Persson was the pianist. The piece proceeds in short fragments, 2 at a time. Sometimes the 2 fragments are the same, and sometimes there's a little difference. So the piece is a little examination similar to examinations you probably had to take in school. And the small audience of radio producers was invited to say same or different after each 2 examples. Since radio producers are really professional listeners, one might have expected them to perceive the sounds very accurately and always be in agreement, but in fact, they often disagreed. The pianist was very careful to make similar fragments exactly the same and to make the differences quite clear, but my similarities and differences were rather subtle, and the correct answers were sometimes difficult to perceive. Everyone enjoyed the experience, however, and Marie Wennersten posted the sound file on the Swedish radio site along with an answer sheet so that listeners could check same or different on the screen and find out at the end how many of the 110 questions they answered correctly. Let's listen to the first section of the piece and follow the score at the same time. We generally feel that we see better than we hear, and you'll probably see the similarities and differences better than you will hear them. But as the questions continue, the perceiving will be more difficult, both for the eye and for the ear. As you probably figured out, there were always differences between the first chord and the second one, but the differences were simply that the chord had less notes the second time, and you could probably see that better than you could hear it. I remember another performance when the University Piano Department in Vienna invited me, along with my colleagues Samuel Vriesen and Dante Boon. Vriesen and Boon had just recorded the symmetries for piano four hands, so they could perform and teach the piano students also during that week. One of the events was Same or Different, with Dante playing the 110 questions and some 40 students filling out answer sheets for the 110 questions. One student got 95 correct answers out of the 110, so she got a CD as a little prize. Later, Dante recorded Same or Different, along with several other pieces for a CD called Questions on World Editions 2012. And it is his interpretation that we're hearing today. Same or Different has not been played very often. I think pianists don't like the idea of giving tests as a concert, and listeners don't really like taking tests either. Still, it seems to me that the piece presents a lot of interesting information. I tried several times to convince conceptual psychologists to pursue some of the questions explored in this piece. For example, can we remember a fragment 5 seconds long well enough to know whether the next one was the same or different? And how about a fragment 10 or 15 seconds long? Do musicians really hear wrong notes better than non-musicians? Do we hear differences better when they are at the beginnings of the phrases or at the ends of the phrases? Do we hear music better in the bass register or in the treble? Do young people perceive melodies more clearly than older people? But the psychologists are always more interested in reading perception and visual perception, and don't pay much attention to oral perception. In any case, none of them have taken the time to carefully run tests that might answer such questions in a scientific way. This video is not very scientific either, and when we get to the end of it, we still won't have many definite answers. But we can learn a bit about our individual abilities to perceive music. Section 7 would be too easy if we gave you visual aids, so you just have to look at me while we give you these 12 pairs of rhythms. Was that the same or different? Next question. I happen to know that these are always the same. But you may think there's a difference. Three, two, three, two, three. If you count it by the numbers, you can hear better. But the phrases are longer now. to know whether it was the same? I'm not at all sure that those two were the same. But perhaps other people can perceive these things better than I can. In any case, it was pretty clear at the beginning that the two rhythms were the same when there was only about 3 seconds long each example. But we couldn't be so sure when the sequences were 3 times longer at the end. Could we make a rule about the maximum length of a rhythm that we can hear clearly? Is there a great difference in the musical memory of one person or another? Could someone teach you to remember rhythmic sequences more accurately? Those are all questions I'm not going to try to answer today. I want you to hear also the 8th of the 10 sections in Same or Different. Here the same 8 notes are heard over and over, and the differences have to do simply with the order of the 8 notes. In every case, there's a slight difference in the order, but since the 8 notes are always the same, you may sometimes think the order is the same. Try to hear the little differences. At the same time, we will show you the images produced by my Amadeus program. In this case, you may well have heard the differences more clearly than you saw them. There was always a difference between the two phrases, but the 4 notes in the left hand are always the same, and the 4 notes in the right hand are always the same, and we are hearing the same 4 intervals each time. It was just a matter of whether the intervals were going up, ta-ti, or down, ti-ta. And that generally seems to be clearer to the ear than to the eye, at least when we are looking at the Amadeus images, which are more based on amplitude than on actual pitches. But here's another question. Can we hear similarities and differences better in fast music or in slow music? That's the basic subject of the last section of the piece, section 10. Same, I think. Same. In the fast music, I'm pretty sure it was the same, but in the slow music, I'm never so sure. The slow music challenges our memory a little bit more. I bet that could have been different. That could have been different too. Oh, I think that was different. Same? Different, I would say. I'd say same. I think that was different. I'm not sure.